Hi, I'm Kim,
And I'm Torra.
and this is our podcast, Parenting Young Adults with Kimm and Torra. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we have a variety of, we're going to do a bit of a continuation of our current topics episode. And the first current event that we want to address is we want to go back and talk about the little boy that was raped in Miami when
Yeah,
he
yeah. And the
left
reason
his
why we're not
home.
saying his name because he's very much underage and he deserves to have his privacy and dignity, moving forward. So we're just gonna consider him the little boy, not out of disrespect, but out of respect. So yeah,
Okay. And so, are there any particular thoughts you wanted to share about that tour?
there was definitely one. Well, from what we know now, you can only go by what you know. He snuck out of the house and he went to a friend's house to do whatever, probably play video games, hang out, but I don't know where kid, the other kid parents were, and I don't know, how they run their household, but they allowed this 12-year-old to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning, or he went on his own at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was walking 2 miles to his house, which I think is beyond
It's
crazy to me.
crazy at 2 in the morning.
At 2 in the morning is beyond crazy to me.
And he is what, 12?
12. And I know at that age, these kids today, just all of them, not just that age, but I know they think they're invincible. They don't see it. They can you can tell them a million times that it's out there. They can handle themselves is what they think. And I am not giving any respect whatsoever to the perpetrator at all. He gets nothing from me, you
Hmm.
know. He's scum of the earth and he deserves to be treated like it. And I'm saying this because I want to say, as far as kids, that they're not listening to us. We have lived long enough that we know. And I'm talking about the loving, caring parents that are here and we're doing it and we're taking care of our children. We are like this and we're overprotected and we are obsessive like this because we know what's out there. We've either encountered it, we know someone who has encountered it, or we just are noble about it because we're older. These young kids, it's not absorbing in them that this can happen. And I'm angry with him for sneaking out. And I definitely can dismiss it by saying, but he's a kid. He's a kid. No, my kids have never snuck out. And the reason why, because they know their mom don't sleep. So they would be impossible. The worst thing they can do is once they're out to stay out past their curfew because they know once they're back in here, there is no entering and exiting. They know that. So yeah. And I say that because I want these kids today and I want the parents today to I know they want their kids to be grown and self-sufficient and they want them to experience life, but times have changed and you might not watch the news as much as I do and you might not read current affairs as much as I do. But when I tell you it's out in abundance more than ever, and I do believe it has something to do with this box we're in, the social media box we're in. They're glamorizing it. The people who were sick in the beginning, they found an audience, they found community, they found friends, like mindedness. So even if they did hide in the closet and suppress it back in the day, they don't feel like they have to do it now because they know so many more are doing it and getting away with it. And for
Interesting.
that, I think we need to educate our kids even more now on danger, child trafficking, and
Child trafficking. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And I hate saying those words. I hate giving even credence to those words. I do. And I hate them because the more you say them, the more it becomes not just real, but it becomes an entity. It becomes the way
You
of the
give
world.
life to it. I
It's giving
understand.
life to it. And I don't like to breathe life into something so negative, even though I know it exists and I want to prevent it and I want to help conquer it. I think we need to have these horrible conversations with my children because I had the conversation with my daughter who's 18, and I'm not just telling her age, but she's 18. And I text her, sent her the video, and she texted me back. And it was disturbing to me. She texted me back, I do not frequent unknown places. And I text her back, what on earth are you talking about? What are you talking about? Unknown place. This person was in his neighborhood. He was walking home. What are you talking about? And I had to tell her, I said, when you're in school and you get hungry around the college campus in California, it's businesses stay open because it's college campus. So she can go to a restaurant at 2 o'clock in the morning. She can go at 3 o'clock and they're open, full-fledged restaurants. And I would see her walking. She would FaceTime me and I would, why are you doing this?
By
Why are you
herself?
walking by herself? And I
No,
would say, why are you doing this? Why are you walking by yourself? What would my
not
roommate
by
tell
yourself.
me? That's the invincibleness. That's the I have my mace with me. I'm good. And I had to tell her one day, and I had to have this conversation, and it pains me to even repeat it. I said, you're no match for 5'4", 3, or 2 men. You're no match
Or even one big burly man.
for
And
one
that's
big
the
bully man.
reality of being a woman
But I
in
wanted
this
her
world.
to see it for what I saw it, because we're in an age where women think they're men. And I think David Chappelle has a comedy act where he says if LeBron James decides to change his sex, does he get to play in the NBA again, or does he have to go to the WNBA? Because if that's where he's going to score 800 points. So my thing is this: it means everything to me to say that we are no match. I don't care all the women out there who feel like they should have been born with a male eggplant. Just in case I don't want this segment to get censored or flagged by anything. I don't know what words are right or whatever, but we all know what the eggplant emoji stands for. So if you are a woman and you feel like you should have been born that way and you really believe that, hey, so be it. I am not one to judge you, but you are no match for the average male man. You're not. You are still born female. Yes, 2 men, yeah, they might not be a match for each other either, but at least they're in the same category. They are.
But we don't have the same musculature. Our body fat is more. We're not men. I
None
mean,
of
we're
that.
just
I
not
don't care how bodybuilding this woman is. I don't
men.
care
We're
how
not
much she
men.
can bench press. I don't care how much she can punch per pound. I don't care. You are still no match
Oh
for that.
man, no, I've seen a few. I've seen a few that look just like a man. I wouldn't put
Right.
them in the
But
category.
put her
But
in the
most, other
same.
than those extremes,
Right.
I
Yeah.
would agree with you.
But I'm saying put her in that same category with someone of that same equal caliber who can lift the same, punch the
Oh,
same. You are no match, sister. You're not. I don't care what anybody will never convince me. No one will ever convince me. I don't care if she's roided up, steroided. I don't care. She's no match for someone of that equal caliber. Maybe lesser, of course. I do believe there are some women out there that could pulverize a man of lesser caliber. I do. I have little brothers. I used to beat them up all the time. But at the end of the day, once they grew up and became full grown men, I knew my place. I would never try them ever again. So even in my mind, I think I still can beat them. I know on reality what really could happen. You know what I mean? So for that alone, I think we need to start having this conversation with our children, as brutal as it is, that I get it. I get it. You have not seen it firsthand. It's not even reality to you, but there are some horrible people out there waiting. And if you go on YouTube, you will find so many girls who are down in Vegas and Miami who are being targeted, and they are posting their experiences of how people are trying to groom them. Beautiful women. Hey, want to hang out? Want to come back to my room? We can just hang out. Hey, do you want to do? And they're like, what? It's one thing to be friendly, but we're not in a day and time where this is really cool. Because I don't know if you know about I think she's from Washington D.C. and I believe she was Miss America and she was in the military, but she thought she was being groomed and she thought this woman was weird. But she was trying to get her to start doing pageants, and she invited her out the next day to a Starbucks. Now, of course, me being the mom I am, I would have been telling my daughter, well, we're going to, if it is legit, we both going.
Yeah, I'm going with you. No
Yeah,
doubt.
I'm going with you. But this lady convinced her to go to Starbucks and it was legit. So you hear stories like that and you think, what if that's my big break? And what if that's my chance? And what if I miss the opportunity?
Your mom can be right with you and you'll still be fine.
Exactly. Now she's a grown woman. She was in the military. She was working. She probably felt like she was old enough to make her own decisions. But I want
Oh,
people
well,
to
yeah,
know
and
that
that's
I wasn't.
different too. She met her in a public place.
Yes,
She would have the
yes,
opportunity to get away if she needed to.
that's true.
You
And she
know,
didn't
just
order a
one of the
pre-drink. There wasn't a pre-drink sitting at the table waiting for her, for her to drink and to have poison in it of any kind. So yeah, it was a lot of things that don't get talked about, and that conversation didn't happen with her. I filled in those blanks, but I want that person. I haven't talked to her. I've reached out to her, but I haven't talked to her yet because I want her to explain. Listen, I know I said that this lady walked up to me and told me I was beautiful and I should do this and I should do that. And she convinced me to, meet her in a Starbucks. And then I started doing pageants and then I was losing, winning. And then it all turned out great. However, if that had been a bad person, I would have been screwed because of this. So you need to be careful.
Do you know that there's a social media post that I saw earlier today where a woman came home and found a big writing tablet on the windshield of her car. And so she started tearing off the various pages saying, this car sucks and it smells. And how do I know? Because you told me when you picked me up and I needed to see my son when he was sick, and you picked me up and my son told me that I should give you a gift, and look under the car and there was a box with a Lexus key. And this man, I guess, had given her a Lexus with a bow on it. And the only thing that occurred to me was, who's picking up strangers anymore?
A
That's
Uber
not the
driver.
world we live in. I don't care if it's a woman, because women will set you
She
up.
wasn't an Uber driver. She wasn't somebody in the service
He
of.
did her. He said that she did him a favor and picked him up when he needed to see his son. I think his son was dying, and his son told him that he should give her a gift. I'm not sure about the death part, but I know that the son was either ill or fatally ill, and told him. And I was thinking, what world were you living in? I don't care if it's a woman or a man. You don't pick up anybody that
If
you
I,
don't
I'm
know.
putting myself in that position, and I thought about it just really quick. If I was able to confirm that this guy looked like, he walked up to me and he was pouring his heart out. Look, I need to get to the hospital. I can't get. I think I wouldn't give him a ride.
No,
Nah,
ma'am.
I would have one time. I've done some dumb things in my
20
life.
years ago, but
Yeah,
not today, not
not
in
today, but I
2021.
would either call him a cab or an Uber
Yeah,
and
you
pay,
could get him an Uber.
yeah,
Yeah.
and pay for it. That's about as kind as I could get. To jump in my car and ride to the hospital with me, I don't think.
And think
Oh,
about this. How did that person know where she lived in order to come back and put that huge writing tablet on her car? All of that was creepy to me. I'm sorry.
yeah, see, I'm an
Maybe I'm
overthinker
just
too.
too cynical, but I was
Yeah,
like,
no,
I
no, no,
don't know what world this woman's living in.
no. I'm an overthinker too. I think like that too. I think, and I say to myself, what would I do? Or
Do you
no.
know, in Africa, in the country we were in the Gambia, they do still give rides.
Oh
They
yeah,
do still pick
there's
people up
some
and
really
give them
safe
rides.
neighborhoods, and people
And
don't
they
like
give
to admit to
and
that.
they give there are these little vans called jellies that you can
Mhm.
take from one place to another, and they take children for free. If they have their uniform on, and just drop them off at the school. So it's a different world over there. But over here in the US of A, you're not getting in my car. I do like your suggestion. I might call an Uber, through the app you paid for it, so they can get in the car and go. But you're
Yeah,
not getting in my car. I don't care what I confirm. It's not happening if I don't
I
know you.
mean that's how I feel. At this day and age, the old Torah is not. I'm not. I wasn't naive back then. I wasn't.
No,
I'm
it's a
trying.
different world, though. It
Yeah,
was a
I
different
wasn't
world.
naive. I was just kind and wanted to be blessful. I wanted to always bless someone with anything I could. I wasn't always looking, I was never looking for anything in return, but I definitely I've done some things like far as giving money to, like if there's a mother in the grocery store and she didn't have it all, I'm
I've
like,
done
don't
that.
worry about it. I
I've
got,
done that and said,
yeah,
I got you. Go ahead. I'll pay the rest. Go ahead.
absolutely. I've done
Yeah.
it so many times, and because I feel like I'm blessed.
So you're
So
blessed to be a blessing.
yes, and I have complete strangers when it's pouring down raining. I've seen like older, not old women, but older women. I say, hey, where you going?
Oh, no,
Up
ma'am.
top, got in my
Because
car.
now I
Put
feel
me
like women set you up. I've seen too many stories of a
home.
woman setting up someone and
Nowadays,
then
I
they
have.
come out of the woodworks.
Hmm.
And so I don't do that. But I did stop recently. I saw a young lady and she had her bags from the grocery store and some items on the ground. And it's right in my neighborhood. So I figured she only lived around the corner or something. And I said, do you need help? Because I figure I either have a bag in my back
Hmm.
or I can just pop her around the corner. I
Hmm.
don't know what the heck
Did
I
she
was
take you up
thinking.
on it?
No, she said, I'm waiting for my brother. My brother's coming to help me. So I said,
Oh.
okay. And I went on and drove off.
Yeah, see, I feel like I'm a good judge of character, in which all kids probably think that, and that's why I try to apply everything. Because I definitely get on my kids about this, but I'm definitely one of those people that I'm known probably in my community for that woman who has gotten someone who speak, because I have a lot of Spanish friends, and so I've gotten my Spanish friends on the phone to translate something, for someone. So I am known as that woman in my neighborhood, and I am
Well,
known as
that's
that woman in
fine.
my neighborhood who, because the Spanish market that they have around the corner has great fresh fruit and stuff. So I'm always frequent that, and I'll see people from my neighborhood. I'm like, hey, you going back to my neighborhood? You can get a
And
ride.
that's people you've seen
Yes.
and that you're familiar with,
Mhm.
but not some
And
stranger. Because
yeah.
one of the pages said, I'm a millionaire
Mhm.
and da da da. And so I don't know if I don't know, but the main thing
So
that popped up is
how
what?
do you know where I
You gave
live?
a stranger a ride? Oh
Mhm.
no, not in these days.
Yeah,
And we
no.
do have to talk to our children, and not just our daughters. Like when those
Oh yeah.
college kids killed that woman down there in Miami, I certainly had a conversation with my daughter
Mhm.
about, now you can see it's not just even guys that the random guys, it's even the guys you're in college with.
Yeah.
You have to be
What did
concerned
she say,
about.
may I ask?
She agreed. And then I also, I didn't talk to my son about this on this particular occasion, but I have talked to my son and I have said, these people are sick now. They
Mhm.
will rape men, young boys too. You still have to be careful as well, because that is a side. I don't know if it was always going on, but it certainly appears to me to be a side effect of the rampant homosexuality and everybody adopting it. I don't recall when I was young, well, we maybe didn't know about it. I don't recall hearing about young boys being molested as frequently as I hear it now,
Oh
but
no.
I have
It
heard
was an
some
enigma.
grown
It
men
was an
say
enigma.
that it had happened
It
to
was
them.
an enigma. It was definitely an enigma. I want to say I saw a story when I was younger about a man who was trying to tell the police he had been raped by gang rape, and they laughed at him.
Oh,
And
wow.
then that was way before Jeffrey Dahmer, because they
I was
gave one
sick.
of the victims back to Jeffrey Dahmer. He had escaped. He was butt naked. He was Asian, and he had escaped. And he ran into the arms of police. And those police, I think, were sued and fired, but they laughed because he couldn't speak English. And they and somehow Jeffrey had convinced the police to give him back and say, "Oh, he's a lover. He's just being disgruntled,"
White
and
privilege,
and he,
baby.
and he killed
White
him. And yeah,
privilege.
he
There's
took him back.
no
Shot,
way
yeah.
on earth that would have happened with a Black
Oh,
person.
no question, no question, no, not at all. But
But,
that
but we
yeah.
do have to tell our children about things like this, and there are protections to being obedient. I
Mhm.
don't think that my children ever snuck out of the house either, because I have an alarm system that I
Mhm.
keep on so that even when you open doors or windows, it will
Mhm.
beep and I will know that something is happening. But I,
Really? Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I
Mhm.
mean, I've always said that. But I think
Mhm.
that that obedience is a protection. It just can be. Now things can happen to you anyway, even when you're being obedient, and you can get away with things many times when you're disobedient. Because from the moment you told me about this story, one of the things that popped in my mind was, I wonder whether he's had done that before. And this time he had a
Oh,
chance.
they said they're looking for more victims. They
No, I wonder
literally
whether
said,
the little boy has snuck out of his house.
"Oh, no question. That was not his first time." I'm more than sure that that was not. And the reason why I
That's
say
what
I
I
know
thought
that,
too.
I mean, you're 2 miles away. 2 miles away. That can't be your first time.
Which is far by foot. 2 miles is a minute in the car,
So
but
you picture a track. You picture the track at your school. You picture the track at the wherever there's a field. That is 8 laps. That is 8 laps around a complete track. 8 laps, and then you complete a 2-mile run. That's a run. So can you imagine walking home 8 laps around a track at 2:00 in the morning?
In the morning by yourself at 12 years old.
At 12 years old.
And your parents don't even know you're out of the house.
And he was a little boy. He wasn't some big 6-foot could be possible prospect one day. No, he was a little 12-year-old boy. So little that made me just right through the screen. I was so upset. And I was upset with him because I know if you had to sneak out and you had to put the blankets in bed, then you had parents that care. Because if you didn't have parents that care,
you just roll on out.
You didn't need to. And so that's where my mind goes. You were the average everyday kid that had good parents that loved you and were protective of you. Because if they weren't, you didn't need to sneak. And that's where I want the kids to say, well, you can't protect them from everything. Because Lord knows my kids, we just did a YouTube and Lord knows they said this on the YouTube. You can't protect us from everything. Everybody's born to die, and you're gonna die of something. And I'm like, but why?
You say that now that nothing's happened to you, and I've managed to keep you safe.
Oh yeah.
But if something tragic were to happen, that your kids, just like mine or every person I know, will be saying, "Oh my God, why didn't I just listen to my mother?
And I've said that.
Just listen to my mother." I'm sure of it.
And I have been in a position in my life several times where I look back now and I just thank God I got away, but I also hope and pray my kids never do any stupid thing like this. Never do any of the stupid things I've done that I'm just like, nowadays.
There's not as much leeway.
No.
There's not. Number one, people too busy recording everything. Number two, people seem to be more inhumane and more sexually deviant.
Yes, what is that
going on?
Yes, that's what I said. What is that? What is that? And I just sent this to one of my friends. It was something on social media. It said, what bores me the most and what I find disgusting is a man that always talks about sex. And I know that there are women out here who are helping these men traffic and they're benefiting from it financially. But my thing is this: why are these men so overly sexualized? Why are they? What is going on? Is it in the food? Is it on the media? What is going on where that's all you're thinking about is doing that with that?
Well, some of the human trafficking is organ harvesting. There are a lot of things they're doing. It's not all sexual, but that is a big part of it.
Yeah, but I just of course we both like conspiracy theorist stuff. So
no, they found people with organs.
No. When I say we both like it, like it starts off conspiracy theorists, but it's some truth behind this stuff.
I would be fair to say that I think that many people would say I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think I've said that before. I'm okay. You could say whatever you want to say. I'm going to think if my being resonates with something and says this rings true to me, I'm going to believe it. That's the way I am. And I remember my father saying that to me as a child. If you walk into a room and the whole room says one thing, are you going to say another? I'm like, it depends. It depends because just because all this big crowd said it doesn't mean I'm going to follow it. So
that's right. No, that's different. That's
I'm okay with people calling me a conspiracy theorist or anything they want, because most of the stuff that they don't want to believe is absolutely true. And there's going to come a day when they wish they would have been a conspiracy theorist as well.
Well, this is why I said that is because you've been hearing about adrenal gland and they're extracting
adrenochrome. Yeah.
Adrenochrome, and they've been extracting the blood from tortured children. Well, on the credible news station, I just heard that they're taking blood from younger people and putting it into older people, and the older people are feeling like euphoric, like they
didn't call it adrenochrome. They just explained what the process is.
I need to send that to you because I was like, I had totally forgot for like a split second. I can send stuff that I see on your phone on some social media sites, but that was one that was on a credible news station. Like scientists are coming across this, and I'm like, So all the comments were things like, so it's true, you have been extracting blood from, but they didn't say that these kids were being tortured or blood was coming
Tortured
from
or
torture. They were
ritualistic
saying that, yeah, they
killings and
didn't say
stuff.
any of
Yeah.
that. So
Well,
that's
they
what
just
was
got to go
confusing.
one step at a time, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. But there was a movie called Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, and it was about this mother who had a fight with her daughter,
I
and her
heard
daughter
about
wanted
that.
to use the car.
I never saw the movie though, so go ahead, finish telling us.
This is weird for me because I've been coming across movies that I said I didn't want to see. I want to see, and then I've been watching them lately. So this was one that I watched. And of course I had to watch it. It was I forget what it was on, but it was on something when we were in Miami. And so I started watching it. I think it was on in a restaurant, not a restaurant, but it was like a restaurant. It was on, and I remember just looking up on it, and I had to read the words, and I was getting frustrated because I don't like to read. So I said, when I come home, I'm going to watch that movie because I remembered like reading the closed captions, and it was getting good. So when I came home, I sat down, I watched this movie, and I started from the beginning because I'd pretty much seen the beginning and the middle, but I was like, no, I want to see the whole thing. So I was glad I did, because the mother got in an argument with the daughter because she wanted to use the car, and then the daughter says to the mother, well, I hope I get raped, and the mother says, I hope you do too, and she gets raped, she gets murdered, and the people burn her body up, and the mother puts these signs up as an everyday thing to remind the police department and everybody that what happened to her daughter, and there was no investigation going on. So it was more of her mother was doing it as a revenge thing. And it hurt me so much because when a mother and a daughter has an argument, you never think that's going to be the outcome. And you never think that that's going to happen to you. Don't ever want that to happen to your child. But that was a movie I wanted my daughters to see because I wanted them to know this is what she was trying to protect her daughter from. Like she wanted her daughter to know you don't need to go everywhere. You don't need to do everything. And the daughter was fearless, and she beat herself up for that. The mother beat herself up for that. So my thing was this, it ties back to the little boy that he went through, what and back, but the parents
The
who sit
guilt.
there and the guilt of I wasn't there. How could I sleep that hard that I didn't hear my child get out the bed and go or whatever? And I want the kids to know this. I want the kids to know that you might stumble across the worst person in the world and have this horrible encounter to you, or even I. But at the end of the day, parents feel worse than you probably can imagine when their children are sick or injured. They don't realize that. And they don't realize that that's why we are the way we are. So that's why I think we should have that conversation, that painful conversation that they're out there. It's out there, and it's out there in abundance. And it's down in all the great hot spots. They're waiting for you. All the
Especially like
parents,
Vegas. You're right, Vegas, Miami, Orlando, all those kinds of New
they're waiting.
Orleans.
They go there hoping that you're there. And you can't even imagine that when you're ready. All you think about is your friends and you and having a good time. And I'm not trying to take away from your life. I know that they gotta have a life. I know that they gotta experience stuff. But what I'm saying, and you can't protect them from everything. But what I'm saying to you is think smart.
And
Think
that's what I was going to say too, that there's a really fine line that as parents we have to walk, because we have to make them aware of the dangers without scaring them so bad that it negatively affects their ability to go out and experience things and enjoy their life. It's a really fine line that we have to walk. And I will sometimes say, I don't want you to be scared,
yeah, I do
but
too.
this is something you need to know.
And this is why I say this, because I don't know if your grandparents or mom was like this, but my grandparents were. We had to turn off the light if and TV if there was electrical storm, if there was
That
light.
was my aunt. If it was lightning, she was like, turn off the TV,
Oh
don't
yeah,
take a shower,
do you remember
don't be
that?
on the phone.
That was installed fear that I took into my adulthood until I realized I do not have to lay in my bed during a storm. I do not have to turn off the TV, and I don't. I'm sorry, I haven't witnessed anything happen to anyone who's watching TV during a storm other than your cable might go out. Other than that, but my grandparents were adamant about no talking,
No talking?
no talking. You lay in your bed and you turn off everything. I
Well, we
do not
sure
know
hope
if
it wasn't lightning that much, because back in the day we had rain and thunder and lightning all the time. You were doing a lot of laying in
so
that
that's
bed.
what I mean. I don't want childhood fears going into my adulthood, and I don't want to install that in my children with saying there's some horrible people out here waiting on so many children for some sick reason. And I know there's great people in the world because I'm one of them. I would never hurt a kid. I never want to hurt a
I
kid.
would only
My
help them,
kid
and
would
I
be
would
very
hope that,
safe in my care.
and I would hope that whatever assistance, I am more prone to help another child, thinking it may not come back to me, but somebody may extend this courtesy to one of my children
That's
one
right.
day. So I want to help
And
children
that has
too.
happened to me. My daughter, we had an incident in Vegas where she got on the elevator and we're standing there, me and my husband, and she shut the door and went to another floor. And there was two women and a man who brought her back to the floor. That was when that was me who was like, okay, when my kids get into a hotel, what floor are we on? What room are we in? Even though I don't know, and that's why I tell them. Because I can never remember what floor I'm on and I can never remember what room I'm in. So y'all need to do this for me. So that was able to get her back to the floor. But those people were God fearing and the umbrella of protection was there that day. And so that's why I said I know that there are good people out there.
There are
I've
certainly,
encountered them.
certainly.
And I just pray that we can have this dialogue with more parents to let them know, like, it's a painful conversation, it's scary, it's uncomfortable, but we have to, and we have to do it because it might just cut down and cut back and cut off these lurkers.
And we have to talk to our daughters in college about date rape,
Oh yeah,
about
now
having
my
people
sons, like
in
you
your
said, now
room.
my sons.
Yeah, about having people in your room, about going into other people's rooms
Mhm.
that you think you know, and you don't know
Oh yeah,
them,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Even
all
if
of
you
that.
think you know, like you said, that's the part that you don't like having the conversation. You might feel like, I know him. We've hung out before. And I think she wouldn't mind me saying this, but my daughter encountered someone who got put out of school for sexual assault. And she said that the guy was very weird to her a couple of times. And she said she was in his room waiting on supposedly his girlfriend because she said she was cool with him too. She was cool with him before she was cool with the girlfriend. And she said, Mom, everything you taught me was just going through my mind. Like, how
Mm.
do I get out of this? He's acting really weird and stuff like this. And she said, finally, she was just like, you know what, Mom? I'm gonna just play this game with him. I'm like, you know what? Me and you going out. You don't need to wait on her anymore. She's been taking too long. Come on, me and you gonna go get something to eat, get something to
Just
drink. We're
get
gonna come
out of
back to the
it.
room because she knew she had to get out of that room.
Mhm.
And she was like, yeah, because she's tripping. But in the whole time, she's texting all her friends, like, look, y'all need to hurry up. You need to get me out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is acting weird. And she said she told him, come on, let's go get something to eat, and then let's come back to your room, bring it back to your room. Let's get something to eat or drink. And he was okay. So he left and they went. And once she got out that room and
A
she
wrap.
was never, and lo and behold, he got, kicked off of campus and put out for sexual assault. But I was a little upset about that because I did meet the guy too, and he was very cool. I'm gonna say weird, but he was very cool. And I was really sad that it had to come to that. I was really sad that he felt the need that he needed to press up on a female.
And
So
again, that's a power move. It has
right.
nothing to do with sex because she already said he had a girlfriend. So
Mhm,
presumably he was getting sex. Rape is not about sex. But
mhm,
my son, not in the college that he goes to, but
mhm.
he has a couple girlfriends who have been date raped,
Mhm,
meaning that they're hanging out with somebody that they've been
mhm,
around before, and the person does have intercourse with them, and they're saying no, 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 but it just comes a point where that's not working anymore. So they just submitted to it, but it
mhm.
is not
Don't
what they
change it.
wanted.
No.
And that is
And
called date rape.
let
And
me tell you.
so you have to be careful about who you let in your room, whose car you get in, whose room you go in alone.
So of course, my son went to Howard University, and he had been pretty much sheltered. And I probably am been his victimizer, because I sheltered my son very much
That's your
so.
first child. I
It
mean,
was my thank you. I wish he would look at it that way. But when he went to college, he got a full eye opener. And I remember the day he called me from college and just said thank you. And I knew what it was about, but I didn't want to go into it with him at that moment. But we've had the discussion since. He said, "Thank you. I just want to just let you know, thank you." And I said, "You're welcome, son." And he's like, "I really appreciate all you've done." I said, "You're welcome." But I knew once he went to college, he would hear all the other stories. And we had the conversation where he, like you said, boys too, he had so many male friends who had confided in him and said that they had been sexually abused by an uncle or a stepfather, and he couldn't believe it. He kept saying, "Well, where was your mother? Well, where's your mother? Well, where's your mother?" And all of them had a mom, and all of them had other parents, other people in their life, but it happened to them, and he couldn't wrap his mind around it because he kept thinking, "Oh, my mother, it couldn't happen to me because my mother," and I didn't. I looked at everybody as you potentially could hurt my child. So
yeah, I didn't let it. I just felt like these are my children, and I mean, maybe it was a little crazy, but I don't need to go
you're
out.
not
I
crazy.
don't need to drop them over
Nope.
any relative's house. I don't need you to come over here. Now, if my mother had made herself available, I would
Mhm.
have, chosen to let her
Yeah,
watch them, but she
yeah.
wasn't making
But
herself
see, it was
available.
even situations where they would be in the caretaker of someone else and someone else came along. I didn't do that either. I never let my children go. When they wanted sleepovers, you had to come to my
Yeah,
house.
you come to my house.
You had
There's
to come to my
one little boy who I would let my son go to his house, and there's
house.
one little girl that I would let my daughter go to her house, but not for a sleepover, just for
Yeah.
a play day. But
Mhm.
other than
Yeah, my
that,
daughters
just
didn't
sleep
have.
here. We got plenty of room.
Yeah.
Pile up is no problem.
And I found out after all of that, there was a couple of mothers, as my daughters. I'm talking about my son too, but when my daughters got over, it became openly like parents would call and be like, "Hey, did you hear about this party, or did you hear about this? Are your kids going?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I said I was going to let them go." "Okay, well, I'm going to let," because they knew that it was thoroughly vetted. Like I'd already got on the phone with my FBI agent friends, my police officer brother. We had already vetted their whole family. You're just not.
I didn't go that far,
Oh,
but
I was
when they were
crazy.
younger, I would call people. I drop them off. I come back, whatever. Sometime I would just
No, the
stay.
parents had to call me and had to text me a dissertation of, yes, if anything happens to your child, I will seek medical attention. I have your permission.
I'm
Yes,
going
they
to
are able.
be there.
Yes,
I'm going to be in the area where they are. I'm not going to be up in my room
I
with
still
a
had
whole
the
bunch
text
of
message.
preteens or
Yep.
teens doing whatever. Yeah,
You
all
had
of
to
that.
write all of that down and send it to me. And if you stayed at my house, you had to send me another one saying that, yes, Tora can treat my child with any medical attention to save her life, meaning call the ambulance. And if they need blood
I
transfusion,
never
I
went
can
all
sign
that
off.
for.
I did it all because you were never going to say that your child was in my possession and I didn't do everything I could to save him. Because I always tell everybody, when a kid is in my house, you're my child. We all leave out of here. There is not going to be, well, how come you saved your kids and my kid
Oh,
died? No,
yeah.
they will not be that in my house. We
Right.
all going to get out here. And so I always wanted to be known that, look, you let me, I had to throw your child out the window and they have a broken arm, but it's right here on this text message. You told me I could do whatever I could do to save your child's life. And all the parents used to just be like, you staying at Tours? Oh, they would be gone. The parents would pack up and leave and go until it was time to pick their kids up because they knew that they were at Miss Torra's house where nothing was
And
coming.
my kids would be like, "Oh my God, you got to talk to my mom because my mom's
Yep,
not going to
yep.
let me come unless you call." I had to talk to the mom, make sure everything's okay, but I didn't take it to that
I told the
extent.
moms
But
and
I
dads.
needed to talk to them and make, because sometimes kids are having parties, parents don't even know. I need to
No.
know that some adults are going to be there, and when I talk to you, you're going to know that you need to be accountable because
Mhm.
somebody is holding you accountable for what's happening, or what could potentially happen to their children.
Absolutely.
But speaking of Howard, there was a show, and I can't remember the name of it, but the man's name was Ben. He was a gospel jazz artist,
Okay.
and he lives in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And they sent their daughter, it was his stepdaughter, and the wife's name is Jewel. They're really popular. I just can't think of the name of their show.
Mhm.
But anyway, they sent their daughter from Tennessee up here to Howard.
Mhm.
And after her first year, when she came back, she was different. And she later told them that she had been date raped up there, and they
Oh.
were crushed. And they were like, why didn't you tell us? And all this and that. But, you know, sometimes there's a lot of shame involved
Oh
in
yeah,
that
you
because
victim. They feel
the-
like
like
they
I shouldn't have done this or I should have done
they
that.
beat
But
themselves up. Yeah. Or
yeah,
what could I have done differently? Or did I deserve this? Did I put myself? Did I leave? You go through all of that, and it's never. It's I don't care if you let him on all the way up into
when
the
you say
arrest.
no, it means stop.
When I
When you say no, it means
and
stop.
that's how I raised my son.
And also, on the girl's behalf, how do you ever get to know somebody so that you can begin to date them
Yep.
if you can't ever be alone? So there does come a point of progression where you are going to have to be alone. And, you know, people can be very slick about who they really, deceptive about who they really are. So
Mhm.
it's not your fault. You need to pray. And, you know, I'm be here throwing my vibes over there too, that you
Absolutely.
get through things the way you need to, but it's never the girl's fault.
Never. And I feel like, and I don't care how much they say, well, she led me on or she did this, whatever. I told my son, listen, I don't care if y'all in the middle, she's enjoying herself for the first 10 minutes. The moment she look you in your face and say, I'm done, stop, you let her know I'm done and we stop. I said, you get on the phone, you call the police, you tell them exactly what happened, you have it on record. Look, I was making love to this girl. She in the middle of it, she felt some kind of way. I stopped immediately. She's still at the house. Can you come? Please. I would like her to
Heck
be
no,
personally escorted. I
I've
said, you let them know.
never,
I said, because when
ever,
she leaves out of there, she could tell the world whatever she wants and it falls back on you. So
I
you
don't
just
trust
let
the
them know.
police. I don't trust the police, and I do not want my son to have any encounter with the police that he doesn't have to have,
Mhm,
because we have seen very innocent situations turn tragic
mhm,
when black males and the police are involved. But I understand your motivation, but
mhm.
I'm gonna
Now,
need
I've,
somebody, you
I've
need
done
to
it all.
call somebody other than the police.
I've told them even get a permission, like have them sign a contract, text it to you on the phone. I said, do whatever you have to do. Because when I tell you, I know some women who have lied on men. I
Mhm.
know some women who have lied on men. And
Wow.
that's when I take my son's position. And I'm like, I don't want him to be a victim of them. I'm like, you're lying. You didn't take nothing from you. You gave it up all the way, and then you found out he had a girlfriend or a wife, and then you feeling dumb, and now you crying rape. No, that didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
No. Yeah, like, no, we're not doing this. And don't even try. Don't even try it. I know women who've done that. And so that's why when I know you have done that, I look at my own son and I don't want him being a victim of that. I
Wow.
don't want
Yeah,
him
that's
to
horrific.
some
That's
woman
that's
thinking,
as bad as because they're ruining people's lives, like
yeah, for a
the
one night stand
Caucasian
that you were okay
girls,
with.
the Caucasian girls who date a ball player and then their dad figure out that they've been sexually active and now they're talking about he raped them, and they're
I've
ruining
heard
people's
stories about
lives.
that. I
Mhm.
heard a story about that. I did. I really did. There was a football player who didn't want to marry a girl after he, some time, and then she tried to say, he during throughout the relationship he had sexually assaulted her a couple times, and he didn't get his chance at the NFL. He was in the doorway, and he was about to go in the door, but she put an end to that. Yeah. I
Wow.
remember reading a story about that. So yeah, I know that there are plenty of women out here who will, say things that happened that didn't happen, but not dismissing what the man has done. There are lots
There are
of
many
men,
a men who do take
yes,
advantage.
who
Yes.
take
So it
advantage
can go
for
both
whatever
ways.
reason, as if and that's what I wish mother. Well, I can't blame the mother or the father, but that's what I wish guardians of male and female children would let them know you have choices. It might not seem like it because the block and the radius you live in, but as a man, there's so many women out there of any nationality that will find you fine and dandy. You
There
don't
are
have
so
to.
many women out there, I wouldn't be among them, but there are so many women out there who believe in just casual sex. You
Well,
don't
that's
have
what I'm
to take
saying.
it from anybody. There's so many women who will
Yeah.
give it to you and be talking about,
Mm,
I don't want any attachments. Just hit it and quit.
do
There are
I know
women
that?
walking around acting like that.
I
So
know that
this is
for
a
a fact.
topic that I want to talk about, which is a whole different direction,
Mhm.
is the Lil Nas X video. I really do want to talk about that. I think we both mentioned that we
Yeah,
had
we touched on it.
Seen
But
it. Yeah, we've seen, I haven't seen the whole thing, but we've seen clips. They've shown a lot of
I'm
clips.
afraid to watch the whole thing. And
I
I,
don't
like
just,
I
yeah, it
said,
doesn't interest me like that.
I'm afraid. I'm an energy person. So I feel like if my eyes see something, I don't know what my soul might attach to. And
Mm.
from what I've seen, just
Yeah,
the
we talked
snippets of
about
it,
covering your gates. That's smart. Yep.
covering the gates. I gotta write that down. I like that. But yeah, I'm afraid, and I don't want my soul attached to something that I still remember the movie Damien. I don't know if you watched it when you were
Oh, I
younger.
hate scary movies. I think
Well, it
I
was
never
called The
saw
Omen.
that.
It was called The Omen, but the name of the
I saw The
star,
Omen and I saw Rosemary's Baby and I hated all of that. And to this day,
you
I
remember,
don't watch scary movies. My
but you
kids will go to
remember
the
it.
theater or watch it at home. I don't watch scary movies because I don't like all of that in my system either. I don't like the way those things make me feel, and I don't want any part of any evil. I just don't
But
want any
do
part.
you remember it?
I remember
See what I mean?
vaguely, somewhat. I remember that
Not
little
even
boy.
about vaguely. I mean, do you, even if you just remember the clips of him on the
I
tricycle,
remember some
Rosemary
of it.
Baby when she throws the baby down the
I remember
shaft,
some of it.
those should not still be in our memory when we watched them when we were toddlers, practically. Like
I
that
don't.
should not be there, but it lets you know that it's attached to some part of our mental, which is attached to some part of our soul. So
I
that's
don't
why
like
I'm
scary
too
movies.
old in life to be watching something like a Little Nas X video that celebrates going to hell and
And
tricking. You know?
Satanism too. Satanism too. I think because I think that that entity on whose lap he's dancing
Mhm.
is clearly supposed to be a representation of what we've been told Satan is.
Right.
I mean, with the horns, I mean, I just don't think it can get any more clear. The red, I don't know that that's what Satan would really look like, but I think that's what we've been trained
Right.
to believe he looks like. So that's what they intend for us to think.
Right.
We see that for
And
sure.
just yesterday, I heard that the video was interpreted to be he was twerking from heaven to hell. And I didn't look at it to confirm if that's true or not. But what I'm saying is, if that is the case, that he's stripping and twerking from heaven to hell, why does it have to be in such a controversial way that I feel like, where can you go from there? Where can you go from this video? What could you make? What video can you make from this video and beyond, and this song and beyond? What can you, because I don't know the song. I wouldn't even, you
Oh, yeah.
couldn't pay me a
I
million
can't even
dollars
remember the name of the song. It was just the visual
and I can see
that
the
was
vision that I
so
don't like.
like, oh my God. And even at the end, he cracked the horns off of Satan and put them on his own head. I don't even know what that means. We you the devil now? I mean, I don't even, but I heard that he flies up to something similar to what you're saying, that he flies up to heaven and then comes down the stripper pole
Mhm.
down into hell.
So being as though I'm not, I'm spiritual and not religious, where do we have not fear? I'm not asking any kid or any person to have fear, but where do we draw the line with you're playing with it too much? You're playing with the guidance, the order of what spirituality we have within our own self. I feel like as, and I know we always come back to Black people because we are Black women.
You're black.
We have a spirituality that I feel like we're born with. And I want to know, how do you not tap into that? What took your spirituality away that you don't feel uncomfortable? Like, oh, that's a little too much for me, you know? Like you're playing with fire or you playing with God too much, even in an artistic, creative way.
I think that, and I think that there just have to be certain lines you draw about things that you will or will not do. The creator is not to be mocked. And that's what that seems like. But I don't think that that was any creative thing. I think that, you know, I don't want to go too far into it, but I
Mhm.
think that this is the kind of thing that goes on in the record industry, in the music industry, behind the scenes, And that when you sign on and you take certain benefits from that industry, there are certain
Mhm.
things you're going to have to do. And some of those are things you don't want to do. And I don't think that that was some creative, artistic decision on his part. I think that was something that he was
That's
required
what
to
he
do.
talked about. And I'm glad we're bringing that back up because I think you said that you feel like the industry promoted that for him. And I
Absolutely.
feel like this is a new day and time where I feel like no, I feel like he was at the table and he said when they even when they brought the idea up to him, if they brought the idea to he could have brought it up to him himself. I don't know, but what I feel like I felt like he didn't say, "Ooh, wait a minute, hold on, y'all. Let me check this over with my family. Let me call my people up and see what they think about this because this seems a little like we pushing some buttons of spirituality that I just not ready to cross right now. I
So
don't
you
feel like
feel that he was a willing participant
I feel
and
like
wanted to
he
make
enjoyed
that particular video.
from just the part that I saw. I felt like he enjoyed himself and he enjoyed doing what he did and he liked it so much that it came across not cringeworthy. I really don't feel like I've seen movies where people have done some things in it. And I said to myself, she didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do that. And let me tell you this Brad Pitt has come out and said he regret ever doing Interview with the Vampire.
Mm,
And a reason
I
why
never
I
watched
love that movie, I like that movie a lot. I saw it from the day one when I watched that movie. Out of all the characters in that movie, I felt from day one that Brad Pitt felt he had made the wrong move with that character. I felt it. Not that the acting was bad or anything. Spiritually, it came off to me. It was like, why did I do this? Why have I done this? Why did I do this? Now he said he thanks everyone who likes it and is still playing it's a highly rated movie.
I've never seen it. I've heard of it, but I've never
It's
seen
a
it. And I've never been
very good
tempted to see it.
movie. If you like vampires and stuff like that, it's
I like
very good.
vampires.
But yeah, he said that he regret
I don't
ever.
like entities that drink the blood of humans. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't
Okay.
think that Moonlight and all that, was that Twilight, whatever that crap
Um,
was? Ooh, they're
oh
so
yeah, yeah, yeah,
sexy.
yeah. The
I don't
TV,
care how sexy they are. They're a vampire. I don't want to
yeah,
see a mess.
yeah,
But
the
that's
TV show.
me. That's
Mm-hmm.
just me. I just have a certain way about me, and so it
No,
prevents me from
there's
seeing
nothing
stuff
wrong with
like
that
that. I
certain
don't
way
want to
about
see
you.
that kind
That's
of stuff.
perfect. I mean, that protects you. You know what I'm saying? That protects you.
See,
I think
and
that we should always be that way.
we had a conversation of this nature about Cardi B as well. I don't feel that those people in the music industry have as much control as you think they have. And I think that behind the scenes, there are people who are in control. And once you take this money and once you accept this fame, you have to do what they want you to do. And recently, just last night, I want to say,
Hmm.
I was watching because people are up in arms about the Lil Nas X video.
Uh-huh.
And so
Oh yeah.
hmm,
I said, oh yeah, it's topic of conversation.
right. And people are saying that the industry is promoting Satanism. And then they say, but this is nothing new. And they refer back to when Kanye West went on the stage and said he had sold his soul
Oh yeah.
in exchange for what he had.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
went back to the lyrics of Eminem saying he didn't want to live anymore. He tried to kill himself. And there was this whole song, put the gun down, Marshall, with the like a demonic voice. Nobody went back to this, but now I'm going to go back to Snoop Dogg and Murder Was the Case that they gave me. If you do this, I'll
Well, have
make
you
your
heard about what Snoop
lifestyle
said
better.
about that?
What did he
Snoop,
say?
he said that he had never had a murder case against him when he made the song. He wasn't even
Well,
remotely.
he had a murder case. We know that.
No, 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 no. When he made that song, "Murder
Oh,
Was the
he
Case,"
had not had one yet.
he said he spoke it into existence, and from that day forth, he would never cross that path twice. He
But
said
listen to
he knew.
what the song says, stuff like, give your lifestyle to me, I'll make it better. How long will it be? Eternal life, that's forever. They were saying
Mhm.
stuff. That song taught someone how they could sell their soul to the
Well,
devil
he
if they
literally
exist and
said,
if he's
he,
willing to
if
buy
you look it
souls.
up and say, what did Snoop say about that song? He said he wishes he never made it. He wishes no one could ever hear it again because he said he did not have a case when he made that song. He
And
said
then
that's
he
what
felt like he
he,
brought it into
and
existence.
that's what he said. And that's what I respect about, and that brings me to what I wanted to say about Journey Smollett, which is the sister of Jesse Smollett.
Mm-hmm.
And she made a movie called Temptation. Yeah, Temptation. And in this movie, she has a beautiful family. I mean, a man. He loves her to
Oh,
pieces.
I saw that. And
Yeah.
she went out with this other
And she's
man.
not with this guy. And if you look at the movie, you can see hell. It's glam. She goes into these places where she has, sexual intercourse with him, and it's almost like being in hell. But the outcome is she gets AIDS, and she
And I
becomes
remember at the end of the movie, she was in the pharmacy
yeah.
trying to get some
And
medication.
he's the
She had a
pharmacist,
great
and he
life.
has a
She had a
wife.
great life before
Yeah,
that.
she had a great life. She wasn't, and so that
And
to
her
me,
husband fought for her. He tried to get his wife back, but she was gone.
she was in the wrong hands with this horrible person, and that brings it to where we have to say, I'm not telling everyone to run and jump in a church. That is not what I'm
I
saying.
don't believe in religion. I would tell you don't do that.
I am
Because
very
if
clear.
religion was really something good, the white man wouldn't have shoved it down our throat. That's
Oh,
just a
and by the
crap.
way, those books that you sent me, that was one of the books that I can't wait to
Oh,
come.
I did say I was hoping I sent you that. Share it with
Oh,
Victoria and
kind
Mia
of
too, please.
I kind of overdid it. I ordered so many books
They're
from there.
free though. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I love free, so
They're all free, so it's okay. I
and
want
some of them
to.
are listeners, so I get to just listen to it being read to
Yeah,
me.
they're audiobooks,
They're
ebooks,
audiobooks. And
documentaries.
so
Share.
that is one of my things. Like I said, I'm not asking anyone to go run into a church, but we have to get back to some type of spirituality. I don't
And
care
that's
if
what I'm
it's in.
studying now. Right now, I'm studying African spirituality and trying to remember, relearn what that's about and how I can bring that into my life. Because I personally think that until our race returns to the type of spirituality that our ancestors practiced, I think that was a part of our power. And
Absolutely.
when you hear the story of the Haitian Revolution, they were doing things that the African
Actually, I ordered
ancestors
that book
did.
too. I ordered that one too, the Haitian Revolution. That's on
Okay.
my, yep.
I'm
So
into
I can't
African
wait to have that one.
spirituality. But I mean, I just want to hit this right on the head. So people say what you think, feel how you feel. In my mind, the music industry, either behind the scenes and sometimes in front of the scenes, like with Lil Nas X, like with Eminem, like with Snoop, is practicing to some degree a level of Satanism.
Okay,
I think that.
okay, let's say that. Okay, let's
I
say it.
think that.
Everybody deserves to have a one and done. Everybody. Okay, and the reason why I say this is because my love, Donna Summers, love Donna Summers. She made Love to Love You Baby, and
Mhm.
she hated it. She regretted it. She hated it, and she said she never had a moment of bad luck or bad entities in her life until she made that song. And she comes
Because
from
she helped to usher in a new era of sexual explicitness.
Mhm.
Actually, now that you mention that, yeah,
I'm not saying I'm a historian. I just know I feel like I know a lot about a little bit of stuff. So a
right,
little
right,
bit
right.
a lot of stuff. So I know that she hated that song, and I knew she never wanted to perform it again. They asked her millions and millions of times, offered to
Why
pay
did she
millions of
hate it?
dollars
Why did she
because
hate
of
it?
exactly what you said. It was so exploitationist. It was so hypersexual, and she had came from values, religious values, spiritual values. She came from the church. Okay, so it's good. You made it over to mainstream. You make good music. Everybody loves this music you make. But then they asked you to do this song, and you do it and you perform it, and everybody loves it. But now your luck has changed. So my thing is this. This is what I mean by the little
Like karma, the law of consequences. There's some.
Can I play
It's a
that for
book.
you? Can I play the devil advocate for you, and you
Mhm.
bring it to the light for the people? So why can't Little Nas make this video? Why can't it be satire? Why can't he be pushing the buttons to newness and change and no fear of anything? Why can't he do it? Why does it have to be a big hoopla behind it like he sold his soul? Why?
The first thing that popped in my mind when you were saying that is because so many of his fans are children. If
Okay.
they were just
Tell
people
his
of
parents to raise
our
their kids.
age, because children have a difficult time distinguishing reality from
Tell
fantasy.
these parents to raise their kids. Tell them.
Yeah, well, we can tell them that, but we all know that there's a large group of parents that are not doing that. And he has also, from my understanding, even made comments saying he realizes that a lot of his fans are children. I think it's harmful. I think that as America in general has moved away from divinity, and I don't believe in religion, so I'm not talking about all that stuff, but it's sort of like a do anything you want, everything goes, nothing sacred, then we have begun to suffer as a result of that. Our society, I mean, things are just so out of control. And I think that this is what I think too, that even as an artist, you have a responsibility.
Mhm.
There is a responsibility that you have as a human being
Mhm.
to be conscious of what you're putting out
Okay.
into society. And I think
Okay.
that that video crossed the line. I think that the tennis shoes with the pentagram and the real
Sold
blood.
out. So what? So what? It sold out in one minute or less. So what? It sold
Yeah,
out in
it's
1 minute.
sold out because there are a lot of
He bought
Satan
600
worshipers
pairs.
in society.
He bought 600 pairs and he sold out for 1 minute less.
666. He bought 666, no doubt. Surely not 600. It was
Okay, so they
666.
we've heard that 666 is the um
The
number.
mark of the devil, they say. I don't know that that's true,
But
but
they
that's what
also
they
say
say.
that it's the metric meter of, if you go on the metric meter, it is the number of carbines
For
and
human beings,
for
they say
human beings.
that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the makeup of,
They
so
say that.
they might have programmed us to believe that Black Friday was a bad Friday and that black cats are black cats. And
Black cats were divine in ancient Egypt, so
yeah, but how,
yeah.
you didn't hear that growing up. You heard black cats crossing from the right to the left was
Yeah, but see, I am very well aware that most of the stuff that I have been taught is simply not true.
now
And
how
that
just
most of the
you taught
things that I have been told to go towards, I should steer away from, and vice versa. So I have no problem looking at things that I was taught as a child and saying, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm going this way.
so
I'm
okay, so
clear on
now
that.
let's say, what if
I
they
think
told us,
that he has a responsibility. I think a lot of the problems we have in our society right now stem from the fact that there's no moral standard. It doesn't have to be Christ Jesus and all that, but you
okay,
need to have some morality. You need to have some connection with the creator, and there need to be some things that are just off
so let
limits.
me throw this out there for you. Maybe, I don't know if you want to talk about this show, but let's just throw it out there and see what happens. So suppose everything we're taught is wrong. What if we were told that God is good and the devil was bad, and it's reversed? What if we've been neglecting our God, who, I'm not saying the devil in the word devil or
Go
Satan,
ahead. You can go
but
on down that road.
whatever, we've been told, and it's in reverse. What if we were told that? Would you be more that they pushed you so far away? Because think about it, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, just
Think about it. What if someone who believes in the devil and Satan has had a great life? And I'm talking about a great life here on earth. And you say, but you believe in this and you've had a great life, no really deaths or tragedies, but I've been believing in this divine and all I suffer is from this. Talk to me about that.
I don't really have an opinion about that, but I think that each of us as a human being has a responsibility to identify what we believe in and
Okay.
to live accordingly.
Believe in or what we were
And
taught?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Believe in or what we were taught?
No,
Okay.
believe it. We
Okay.
have an especially now that it has come out how much we have been miseducated. It's
Okay.
our responsibility to try to figure out what's true and what's not. And what we look to, what we should be looking to, in my opinion, is not the Bible. So I'm not really wedded to those concepts of good and evil and God and
You
Satan
said
and all
what?
of
What
that.
now? Back up a little bit. You said what
I
we
don't
get
think
it
that
to?
what we should be looking to is the Bible. I think that what we should be looking to is ourselves,
Okay.
because all the wisdom, all the knowledge, all the everything we need is in us. So if I hear it and it sounds right, I go with it. If I hear it and it's repulsive, I move away. It doesn't mean that after it's possible that after more knowledge, I might change my mind. I
Okay.
always reserve the right to change my mind.
Okay.
So I'm not into all that, but it is being done with a malevolent intent.
Okay.
And so that right there is a no-go for me.
Okay. Okay.
And
That
what is your position on it? What is your position on Satanism, the practice of worshiping Satan and all of that? Do you have an opinion on that and whether or not there's a segment of this society that may be engaging in that?
yeah, I actually worked with a guy one time and they believed in witchcraft and Satanism. And he was, believe it or not, a really, really nice man and really nice guy, but he would go off on the weekends and practice this thing that he would come back and tell me these stories. And of course, I love stories. So he would come back and tell me things that he witnessed that were unbelievable to him, like unbelievable.
Can you just give us a little hint of like what kind of things?
Okay, so they were always, of course, yin and yang. So there was always people who believed and were there for the belief of it and the enjoyment of it. But then there was always someone who was trying to burn down it and stop it from happening. Where there was this one time, there was, I don't know what she was called at the time, but she put a spell on this man and he didn't do well after that. I mean, he did not do well after that. Something really bad happened to him. And he said that's when he really started believing. He was like, oh, this is real. Like you
And
can,
that made him want to engage in that practice.
he really wanted to be protected, engage in that. He felt like that gave him a earthly protection. And that's what he told me. He said it felt like he gave, and of course, like I said, I love, I don't know, I wasn't there. I'm only going by what somebody tells me. So that was my humanly connection with people who believe in atheism and non-spirituality. He believed in the here and now.
But that's different though. Of course, atheism is different from Satanism.
Well, they say
Atheism
it is. They say it is, but if you read it, it's so first cousin.
atheism is I don't believe in a God. We
Right.
are the God. It's the end. This the buck stops here. Satanism is I'm worshiping this other entity that I mean, you know, a dark entity, let's say, dark magic, dark magic.
And atheism, if you read what people believe in about it, it's first cousins because they really believe in nothing that they do bad is going to get punished because this is it. You know, they feel like if there is a spiritual world, we all going together because God only remembers you, or the divine only remembers you from when.
What do you think about the worship of the dark entity, whether we're right or wrong that it's a dark entity, the entity that has been set up in society to be the dark entity, the worship of it, like, you know, Aleister Crowley helped to, I think he's the founder of the Church of Satan. He was into sex rituals.
Right.
He,
See,
you
that's
know,
where I don't feel as though it's real. When you start needing to harm people for your religion, that's when you don't get me.
so you don't believe in Islam because aren't they always going on jihads, bombing up places, and doing suicide missions? That's what they do. That's what they do in
Yeah,
the
but they
name of
also believe in
religion.
Sharia law also. And I'm some of them things, you know, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You take my child, I don't want to be the only mom in the church crying. That some things I pick and choose.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I pick and choose. So I feel like do I think if you come and break in my house when I'm not home and you steal something worth $20, you deserve to have your hand cut off? No. But do I think you should get your butt whooped with some sticks? Yes. So I pick and choose where I want this I want that to fall because
So Satanism though doesn't work for you because it involves the harming of other people.
absolutely, absolutely. And I believe that even people who believe in atheist, being an atheist, I believe that they justify themselves, put it that way. They've justified harming people. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying people who don't believe in something good, something divine. I believe in they can justify hurting someone and not feeling like there's an ultimate punishment, even if the world doesn't catch you, that the energy catches you.
And
So
so with the Lil Nas X video, are you of the you did say, I wonder where can we go from here and all of that. But if it was artistic expression and
satire.
satire, what is your opinion on that? First, do you think it was? And if it was, is that okay?
Today, for him and for weak minds, it bothers me. And the only reason why I say that because I go back to the Madonna video where just like a prayer, they were not having it. They thought she was a Satanism. They thought she was a horrible person. She did something. And I watched the video and was like, what are y'all talking about? I literally watched the video a million times. I love Madonna and I could not see anything she did wrong in any aspect of her career. I did not. I personally did not.
Okay.
But the era before me did. So I don't know. My children don't see where Lil Nas did anything wrong. So maybe this is my time.
What did your daughter say about the video?
He's just living his best life. He doing him. And that's what
Did she watch the video? Did she like the video?
I think she told me she saw it for the most part. I think she said she didn't watch it in its entirety, but she saw clips. and she said he just living his best life, and he's just, that's his life, and that's what they think. So I'm thinking, you're just like me with Madonna. They hated Madonna. They banned Madonna. They stopped her from grinding because they thought she was just so far, far out there with her sexuality. And I even think they tried to paint her as being an atheist at one time, but she wasn't. She was
Well,
very
she
much a
believes in
Christian.
the Kabbalah.
Well, she switched over to that later on in years, but she was definitely an
She
Italian.
was a
Yeah,
Italian Catholic, right?
yeah. Oh, die hard, die hard. So
I I meant to ask my children what they thought about it, because I say my son is religious and conducts a Bible study. I can't imagine that would sit well with him. And then
Mhm.
my daughter and I had talked about Lil Uzi Vert, whose name is to be
I love
Lucifer.
him.
Lucifer is what
Mhm.
that's supposed
You
to
taught
be.
me that. You taught
And
me that it meant Lucifer. I was like, no,
it's
that's
supposed to
fucked up.
sound like that. And then also Juice World, who got on social media and got in the circle with the candles around him and said he was selling his soul to the devil because he wanted money. And so I've talked to them about that a lot. And so I am going to ask them what they think. I would hope that they think is going too far. I do understand what you're saying, that every generation, I mean, like, I'm not crazy. They listen to all that rap, all the cursing, all the mumble rap, all they love it.
Mhm.
They love it all. So I'm not pretending that there's some little angels or something, but I am hopeful that they both felt that it pushed the envelope too far, because I think there's a danger in anything goes. I think that human beings need to have boundaries and discipline, because when anything goes, you get the kind of stuff that's going on in society right now. There are no limits, nothing's wrong. If you call anybody out, you're misogynist,
Are we our
you're
grandparents?
homophobic, you're transphobic, anything goes.
Are we our grandparents? Are we our
I'm
grandparents?
not, I'm not. I don't
Because
think I
you
am.
remember Woodstock. I remember, I can tell you the good and the
People
bad
are
part.
getting raped at Woodstock.
Right. But I can tell you, yeah, they're just recently letting those stories come out. But
I've
I
been
can
knowing
tell
that
you,
for a while, for a
and
couple
I didn't. I
decades.
only heard it was a free bird type of thing. Everybody getting
And
high,
also,
swimming
some
around
people
in the mud.
became drug addicts because not only were they smoking
Drug
weed or
addicts, they
whatever, they were
contracted
doing
hepatitis.
heavy drugs, that
Oh, yeah.
acid, mushrooms, all kind of stuff that,
But
there were
there was no dark
consequences.
side when I was growing up. It was only hippies.
Flower
That's
power,
yes, flower power,
love.
right.
Mhm.
So and so I know that the generation who did not want Woodstock to happen, that was against it, was saying all that about Woodstock. And then you transition into the next era after Woodstock and the disco
But it
era.
was a problem. Think about this. Woodstock was about love, free love. That's really what the whole thing was about. And to the extent that people of an older generation were against it, I think, and I don't know, that it was primarily the marijuana, the casual sex, and all of that.
Mhm.
But the next generation, where gangster
Push,
rap and all that
push it
came in,
further.
and Dolores Tucker and that
Right,
crew were
right.
protesting it, and look at where we are now. There are some things that are too much. It's one thing to say we are young and we want to celebrate love, and y'all are stuck in the mud and trying to prevent us. It's another thing to say, well, we want to talk about violence, gun violence, rape, selling drugs, using drugs. I mean, it's off the chain. I
Okay,
don't
so you didn't hear NWA, How to Suck a You Know What. You didn't hear Kaya's um
I
uh
think I'm telling you that I think those things were a problem. I think that was the beginning of going in the wrong direction. And
okay,
even though I wouldn't have gotten out there and protested with Dolores Tucker because I was
right,
young at the time,
right.
I think looking back, that she was on to something,
Okay.
because it was the beginning of the slippery slope that gets us to WAP, and
Okay.
that gets us to a Satan Lil Nas X video. It was the beginning of that.
So why
But I
can't we
think
help
there's
them?
a
Why can't we
difference
help them? I
between
don't
being
want to
against
destroy them.
love and being against explicit gangster rap.
Okay, I don't want to destroy them. I want to help them. So tell me what you want me
You
to
want
do.
to help who?
Little Nas. He might not. He might just be misguided. I don't want to. I don't want to destroy him.
I
I want
want to cancel him. I want to cancel
to do
him
that.
from
You,
participating in that.
Dolores Tucker.
I
Dolores
want
Tucker
him
wanted to
canceled.
just cancel
I want
and
there to be
destroy.
standards in the world, and I think that he has crossed a boundary,
Mhm.
and I think that there need to be consequences to deter other people from crossing that boundary. And I don't think I'm Dolores Tucker. I'm okay with a lot of things that the
Mhm.
young people do.
No,
I'm
that
the
no,
one,
I'm giving it to you what the young folks are gonna say. The young
well,
folks
they
are gonna
are
say
saying
what the
that,
Lord.
then they're misguided because they should not be thinking that Satan worship is something to play with. Some things you don't play with. Some things have consequences. You don't open yourself to Ouija boards, and there are things you just don't do because the
Mhm,
spiritual realm is real, and you will invoke some things or let in some things that you're unaware, like that movie Jumanji.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to be careful about what you're playing with. And Satanism to me is not a joke. Free love, marijuana, whatever, I'm okay with that. It's a lot of
See, but
things
you
they
just pick
do.
and choose what's your preference.
Yes, I do,
But
because
what
there
about the
have to
person
be
who has
standards.
another preference?
There have to be standards. There are a lot of things the young kids do where I'll be the first to say, I'm not really on board with it, but hey, we used to do this, this, and this. We were
Uh-huh.
crazy back then too.
Uh-huh.
This is their crazy. Let them do
Okay.
it. But when you start dealing with spiritual things and
Okay.
pretending that they're games and
Mhm.
making mockery or even satire or just having to do it because you've already sold your soul, you're
Mhm.
going too far
So
because
have
you're
we
opening
decided to
portals and
decide
things that you're not aware of. You are opening yourself up to, and us presumably, if we watch it and buy into
us
it,
meaning
into
black folks?
dangerous things.
Us meaning black folks?
No, I'm actually talking about the society as a
Okay, and
whole.
the reason why I asked you that is because when I was growing up, punk rock, you know what this meant, you know what it means now.
It's not
This
good.
meant peace back in my day. This
Peace
now
is
means the
this.
sign of the devil.
Peace
And
is this.
it was
This
always
is the devil
rock
horn.
out, it was always rock out, peace out, and
Oh,
this
to me,
also
peace
meant
was
peace.
always this.
And it did, and
And
then this
then this
meant
is the
okay,
rock
but
thing.
this doesn't even mean okay anymore. This
So
is
they say, yeah.
all of these have taken on all these different signs. So what my thing is now, what do the youth have if we keep saying that this means bad and this means good and this means
So, with regard to what you're saying about how the symbols have changed,
Mhm.
when you don't know better, you don't know better.
Okay,
When
so
you
you know
know
better, you
better,
do
you
better.
should do better.
Okay.
And I do believe that for some of us, for many of us, veils have been dropping and things that because sometimes I look back at the things I used to believe and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that I couldn't see this or couldn't see that.
Amen.
So when you
Amen.
don't know, you don't know. But when those veils start to drop and you start to see the
But
symbolism
we
and
have
what it
age on
means,
our
you have to
side.
act
We have
accordingly.
time and we have age on our side.
We
So
have
are we supposed
information though.
and we
When
have
we were
information.
young, we didn't have an internet. They
No.
had the information at hand.
But
The
how do they
information
know
thing.
that that's true information that they should stick by and believe in?
They
How?
need to
Everything is being
research. They
questioned.
need to invest. Yes, question it. I want you to question it. And I
Okay.
want you to investigate it. And I want you to come up with a conclusion and stick by what you believe, but remain open that if new information comes that says you should reach a different conclusion, then reserve the right to change your mind. But
Okay.
symbols affect our subconscious
Of
even when we don't know what they mean. That's why
yeah.
symbolism is so important. So when we didn't know, I mean, what the heck? We can't do something that we don't know about. But this is a Maya Angelou quote, when you know better, you
Better,
do
you do
better. And
better.
we know now the books are out. There's all kind of historical research. So
Mhm.
I'm not suggesting that our kids just engage in the kind of research you or I, because I'll get on you, I'll be watching those videos and I will try to figure stuff out. I don't know that they want to do that, but be receptive to
Mhm.
things and pay attention and use your discernment and don't play with dark magic and dark spirits
Why
because
not?
you will open yourself up to some things that just the same thing you said about even Donna Summers. She suffered the consequences of that.
Look how minute strange fruit was with Billie Holiday.
But that
To
was
me, I
political
can listen
speech.
to that so many times and I don't get what they saw, but that was a big deal then.
That was
So
about lynching. That was political rape. That was political speech. That's why they went after her.
oh yeah, but it didn't seem that deep to me that anybody would listen to that and rise up and take over the world with it.
It
Like
was a criticism of the white supremacy and the brutality that was being visited upon blacks. And so I get that. But
Mhm.
my point is, if a song like Love to Love You Baby could
Mhm,
have the negative effects that you said that it had on her,
mhm,
if a song like Murder is the Case that they gave me can
mhm,
have the consequence that it had on Snoop, where he
mhm,
ended up in imagine
mhm.
what pretending to have sex with the devil and snap his ear.
I like
I
the
mean,
way you
some
think,
things
sister.
are not a joke. Some
I
things
like
just
that.
are not a joke.
I
That's
like
all
that.
I
I
was
think
saying.
you broke it down. You brought it all the way back around. So the vision is there. You just gave two great examples. And to let someone know that if you play with the dark entities and you say the negativities, how it can come back to bite you in a way you just might not be ready for. And don't think the examples that came before you were just examples. They are real life things that happen, and you need to pay attention. This is not a joke. And it may be for other races, it may be for other people, but for Black folks, the
No,
spiritual folks, I'm
but
sorry.
they got us scared of that's a whole nother story. They got us scared of African spirituality. They have us thinking that that's devil worship and
Voodoo,
negative and all that. And
voodoo was
so
a healing aspect from the beginning of time, and because it healed spiritually, the mind over matter, which is Dianetics, which is Scientology, but they switched it up and called it Scientology. That was the old school voodoo, where you could tell a person you are cured now. They found a cure. They gave you a drink of water and some scissored in there back in our
mhm.
day, and you thought, oh, well, the doctor gave me, or the witch doctor gave me some medicine. He told me I was cured, and your mind and body cured itself.
I remember I had this thing called infantile on my leg.
Oh, I know
I,
what impetigo.
it's just a little like whatever. My grandmother put clear nail polish on that joint, and that thing cleared up. There was a knowledge that
Mhm.
they had that was inherent in that they brought over and that still existed that a lot of us have lost connection with. But I'm going to be studying it and figuring it out, and not just embracing everything, but I
Mhm.
really want to get back to the religion of our ancestors. But I
And it
think that's a whole nother topic.
and that's funny because I was looking at on TikTok just today this new rapper. I don't even know if he's new. He's probably not to these kids, but he was little baby something something. But he's another little baby out there, and
So many of the
I
little
know, little
babies
boy
and the
baby or
baby
something,
and
right?
all that.
He was
Mhm.
something out there, and he literally said that he had this condition, and the doctor told him to go home and take. I believe it was him. I might be getting two stories mixed up, but I believe it was him. That they gave him some magnesium, and because he went to all these doctors, they couldn't find nothing wrong with him. He went to this one doctor, cardiologist, gave him magnesium. He came back to get prepped for a surgery, and it was like they thought they had misdiagnosed him, but his body was, like you said, deficient.
In
And
magnesium,
yep. And
and
you
it
know, magnesium
resolved the
for us,
problem.
yes, for magnesium for us, that is a vital uh, element we need in our genetic makeup.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not too much, not enough can harm us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Torah. I think that we actually aired that out really well. I'm pleased with how in depth we were able to go
Oh
with
yeah.
that and
Oh
have a
yeah.
really good conversation. And so, with that being said, I think we wrap up this episode.
Give me my look. Can I have them, please?
Can you have what?
I said, give me my props. Can I have them, please?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. You get the props.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You did
Thank
a
you.
great
Because I know,
job in
like I
bringing
was
that
telling
up.
you, a lot
Mhm.
of other, people have not given me, but I've done my research, right?
Yes, you have done
Okay.
your research. And I think the examples that was what allowed me to pull that together. Those examples you
Oh, you
gave
brought it
of
full
what happened
circle.
to the other people. I'm so glad that you were able to bring that to the table and we
I
were
want to
able to
use
build
that.
it
I'm
out.
going to use that to my children to give
Okay.
them those examples and bring it around and be able to articulate to them. This is why you don't play with these
Wouldn't it
dark.
be nice if our children would just listen to the podcast? Do your children llisten to our podcast? Oh, mom, not yet. Oh, I saw a little bit. Oh,
No,
I'm going to watch it.
I'm going to start sending them to them. So, because when Victoria was editing, she just wanted me to be quiet and wanted you to talk. So,
My kids might feel the same way,
no,
you
no,
know.
no, 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 no. And my husband loves you too. He thinks, oh my gosh,
Oh, I'm so
like,
happy. Tell them I said thank you.
yes.
But my kids watch you on TikTok. You know, Tora. They know who you are. So it's all good. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great night.
Good night.